It's an exact replica of the original, a sculpture that former homeowner Aline Barnsdall once called, quote, "the thing I most love, except for my relatives." The artwork was said to instantly relax the oil heiress upon entering.
It left when she did in 1927. It's had an interesting history, and right now the original can be seen at the Getty Museum in Brentwood. But we have, through technology, been able to reproduce it using 3D scanning and 3D printing.
The Hollyhock House, built by famed architect Frank Lloyd Wright, reopened in 2015 after years of renovation. City officials say plans to restore the motor court and other parts of the property are planned.
We're bringing back Hollyhock House one piece at a time back to its original incarnation.
In East Hollywood, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The Hollyhock House is open for public tours Thursdays through Sundays. Well, turning now to a huge birthday bash as the LA Zoo celebrated 50 candles on its birthday cake over the holidays. The festivities included animal parades, cake, and some strange creatures. Anna Marcos takes us there.
Lots of people in pointy hats flooded the gates at the LA Zoo. The event, called Zoolabration, marked the zoo's 50th birthday. All sorts of beasts, both real and fantastical, marked the event in style, twirling, strutting, prancing, or just looking for some birthday goodies to munch on. And take a look at this birthday cake, or this one, at least what's left of it. It seems everyone got goodies, both the two-legged mammals and the four-legged kind.
The black bear was eating the bugs off its cake.
It was made out of paper mache, but they put like what they eat on it. For the black bear, they put mealworms, grapes, and seeds. And for the bear, they put vegetables.
We will be having some special feedings for our tigers, our gorillas.
Special feedings, an animal parade, a children's petting zoo. It was easy to forget the zoo also has a very serious mission: to teach future generations about animal conservation. Zookeepers have helped bring back and raise endangered or threatened species like the pronghorned antelope and the California condor.
Technologies that we develop here, simply caring for the animals that live here, are now being used more and more by field biologists and researchers to save animals in the field.
They do good education, they talk about conservation and the condor program, so it's a great way for the kids to learn what they need to carry on.
In spite of the serious business of running a zoo, the party isn't over. In fact, it will be a year long. The LA Zoo will hold 50th anniversary Zoolabration events all year. But for this bear at least, it looks like the party is over, except for the paper mache. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
For more information on Zoolabration events and the zoo's 50th anniversary, visit zoolabratesfifty.org. And even more celebrations just down the street as Griffith Park marked its own anniversary. Rasha Goel was there as the park turned 120 years old.
Griffith Park recently celebrated its 120th anniversary. Among the attendees was former Councilman Tom LaBonge, who has had his own personal memories at the park.
All 8 LaBonge boys grew up within walking distance and hiking distance at Griffith Park. I learned to swim in the Griffith Park pool. I remember the area before the freeway was built in the 50s. I can't tell you all the stories, all the dates I used to take here to Griffith Park.
The celebration included rides on the historic merry-go-round, live jazz music, and a rock climbing wall, amongst other activities.
But I think it's very much more important that we preserve, to the best of our ability, our jewels like Griffith Park.
Griffith Park is named after Colonel Griffith J. Griffith, who deeded the original land to the city of Los Angeles for use as a public park. Griffith Park is one of the largest urban parks in North America and spreads over 4,000 acres. It's definitely a popular location. In fact, in 2011, it was one of the busiest destinations for on-location filming. According to Film LA, the park was booked for 346 production days. Griffith Park is also a popular family spot. After all, you can explore the trains at Traveltown Museum or explore the heavens from Griffith Observatory.
I love Griffith Park. I come here when I can.
We have this great giant piece of public land for everyone to come and spend their time in. We got golf courses, we got a carousel, we got the zoo. There's all kinds of stuff. It's great.
Griffith Park's 120th birthday holds a special place in the hearts of millions, including mine. In Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
By the way, Griffith Park's merry-go-round inspired Walt Disney to create Disneyland. While a new recycling program puts the city on the road to cleaner air for us all, a major thoroughfare in Pacoima becomes a great street, and another community garden is about to take root. All these stories in City Beat. The City of Los Angeles recently adopted an ambitious new program to expand recycling services to every business and resident within the city. With the goal of reducing waste going to landfills by 1 million tons annually by the year 2025, officials say Zero Waste LA will dramatically reduce greenhouse gas and air pollution emissions by expanding recycling services and opportunities, mandating clean fuel, low-emission vehicles, and more efficient truck routing. Immediate direct benefits to customers will include a reduction in traffic congestion, consistent and equitable rates, and improved customer service. The $3.5 billion 10-year Zero Waste LA program is set to launch this summer and will invest more than $200 million in new and improved solid waste infrastructure. Community members and business leaders gathered to celebrate completion of a Great Streets project for Van Nuys Boulevard in the heart of Pacoima. These improvements mark the latest milestone in the Great Streets initiative and include high-visibility pedestrian crossings, buffered and protected bike lanes, and street resurfacing. In 2014, the Pacoima stretch of Van Nuys Boulevard running from Laurel Canyon to San Fernando Road was selected as one of the first 15 Great Street corridors. Since then, Van Nuys Boulevard has seen the launch of an entrepreneur center, an outdoor art museum, and 11,000 square feet of reconstructed sidewalk. All of these improvements are aimed at enhancing Van Nuys Boulevard as an economic, cultural, and transportation hub.
Culture is one of the most amazing gifts that we have in the city of Los Angeles, and it is represented in every one of our communities, and our job is to foster that creativity everywhere.
In an effort to promote sustainable communities through urban gardening, Council District 13 announced a partnership with the Department of Recreation and Parks, the Los Angeles Community Garden Council, and the local community to fund a Madison Avenue community garden. The Los Angeles Community Garden plans to build the community garden on the back half of the property located at 1175 Madison Avenue and construct a 640-square-foot educational building on site. Council district officials say gardens make communities healthier and provide a place to de-stress from everyday life. The $600,000 project should be completed by the end of the year. An art exhibit highlights the power of photography. A popular food market offers mouth-watering culinary delights, and some of the best drummers beat it out during a drum-off contest. All this in this week's Things to Do. The International Photographic Art Exposition, also known as Photo LA, announces its 26th edition. Photo LA carries on its mandate to exhibit both traditional and contemporary art galleries and private dealers from around the globe. Photo LA continues the discourse on photography's place in the world of fine art, providing a distinctive platform for the display of everything from vintage masterworks from the 19th and 20th centuries to contemporary photography, new techniques and new forms of presentation, as well as video and multimedia installations. By hosting more than 80 prestigious exhibitors and over 10,000 visitors comprised of collectors, curators, dealers, and lovers of fine art, Photo LA has developed a distinguished reputation, ranking it among the top photography fairs in the world. The fair takes place January 13th through the 15th at the LA Mart. For more, visit photola.com. Smorgasburg launched in May of 2011 as a spin-off of Brooklyn Flea, a popular Brooklyn flea market. It returns with a plate of new flavors for the discerning LA crowd. Find dozens of exciting food vendors each Sunday at Smorgasburg, plus sophisticated shopping, craft, style, vintage, wellness, and more. Cultural events, pop-ups, and other surprise experiences will also be part of the market mix, transforming the vast site into a unique destination for the region. Take a bite of LA on Sunday, January 15th at Alameda Produce Market in downtown LA. For more, visit la.smorgasburg.com. The search for the top undiscovered drummer heats up during the Guitar Center's Drum Off Finals. After making it through the preliminary rounds, the top 5 undiscovered drummers will hit the stage at the Novo at LA Live to compete for the Drum Off title. The Drum Off competition was developed to inspire and support drummers in the pursuit of their musical aspirations. Drum Off is committed to rewarding and recognizing talent by providing a launching pad for a professional career as a drummer. The finale takes place on Saturday, January 14th at the Novo at LA Live. For more, visit drumoff.guitarcenter.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm an Iyengar yoga teacher here in Los Angeles, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35, Our City, Our Channel. Namaste.
Members, please report to the council. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Shh. I want to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. The public is welcome. I want to, on behalf of this council, wish everyone a happy, healthy, and prosperous new year. And I want to welcome back my colleagues. With that said, we do have a quorum. If you'd please call the roll.
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Krikoran, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. And for the members who have just arrived, we have a promo that we will be showing before each council meeting. This video was developed by Channel 35 and our IT department. They did a wonderful job, members. So every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, that video clip will be shown. And I want to again thank Channel 35 and IT. With that said, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Koretz moves. Mr. Price seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Okay, Mr. Englander moves and Mr. Blumenfield seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, today is Tuesday and it's time for the flag salute.
If I can ask all in the chambers to please rise, and if I can ask Mr. Koretz, Mr. Paul Koretz, if you would lead us in our flag salute. All rise.
Please place your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. And I do have to say that the color on our boards, great work. You know, we have additional cameras, and the clarity on this screen are I don't think I've ever seen it as good as this. So again, kudos to our folk in IT and Channel 35. Okay, let's run through the agenda.
Mr. President, there's a request to continue 1C for 30 days to February 8th and 1F for 2 weeks to January 24th.
Okay, so without objection, that will be the order. Please continue.
The Department of Building and Safety recommends that the following items be received and filed. Items 1D, G, I, J, K, V, X, and AA as the liens have been paid in full. 1Y as the initial fee was paid and late fees rescinded. 1Z as the lien was rescinded. 1W as the property was determined to be exempt due to ownership change. And finally, 1R as the property was determined to be an owner-occupied single-family dwelling and therefore exempt.
Okay, so without objection, that will be the order. Continue.
Items 1 through 14 are items noticed for public hearing.
Do we have cards?
Yes, there are cards on item 1 and item 9.
Let's hold those items and vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Continue.
And, Mr. President, the ords for items 12, 13, and 14 will be held over 1 week to January 17th, unless reconsidered with 12 members present.
Okay, so when we get 12 members, if you please remind me, Madam Clerk, then we'll deal with those issues. Okay, continue.
Items 15 through 34 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, members' specials, items 15 through 34. I don't see any. So, Madam Clerk, let's prepare to vote on these items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, please continue.
Items 35 through 46 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do we have cards?
Yes, we have cards on 35, 36, 39, 40, 42, 44, and 45.
Okay, let's hold those items and vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, that brings us where?
Mr. President, that takes council back to items called special or general public comment.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start off the new year with Mr. Walsh. Are you here? Mr. John Walsh? Okay, Mr. Walsh, 3 minutes on your public comment, and then you'll get your 1 minute for general public comment.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Number 9 is another alcohol license. We have more alcohol license per square mile than any city in America, other city in America. And we have more people killed by hit and run. Don't worry, West Side, it's just blacks and Hispanics, 98% who'll be killed. You don't give a damn on the West Side, even though you're Jewish like I am. Number 35, the uncollectible loan is number 36. Uncollectible loans, this city is in debt. You can't even pay off your loans, and you are forgiving loans. The Times isn't going to do this story. And number 39 is, this concerns Homeless Week. Now you're going to have Homeless Week. Hire people to walk in the streets. It's become a gigantic, huge, it's like the Cold War. Homeless Week, Homeless Month, Homeless Year, Homeless Decade. This is the worst homelessness in the history of America. I'm telling you, why don't we have a homeless Olympics? Anybody who's homeless, come here. We don't need the homed Olympics. We need a homeless Olympics. And number 44, these are the so-called alley vacations. Suppose I go into a black and Hispanic neighborhood and I want to build a huge high-rise and get rid of all of the blacks and Hispanics, which is what these people up here. At least the Jew, Krikorian, when he got caught, was a big, huge development in his neighborhood. By the Times, pulled out. But the blacks and the Hispanics are underneath everything up here, 100% as white as I am, if not more. Okay, application of extension of time not to exceed 12 months related to an alley vacation. What they want to do now is they haven't got the whole property thing to destroy the neighborhood. They haven't got it together. So they want an extension of time so they can give away this alley at practically no amount of money, force eminent domain. I'm telling you right now, HollywoodHighlands.org for all the information. Now, on my 1 minute, we filed a lawsuit.
Could you give him his 1 minute for general public comment?
I filed a lawsuit. I haven't filed it, but a lawsuit has been filed to stop the public comment rules that fascists up here put in play. And the last one we filed, we won. That's why I can tell you to go fuck yourself. I couldn't do that until the federal government said, yes, John Walsh has the right in America to say go fuck yourself to anybody, And now we're talking about, we're winning this, and then there's a lawsuit. Yes on S. Stop for 2 years the development, these huge high-rises. And as far as you fellow Jews are concerned, I'm telling you next, they finished with the black and Hispanic neighborhoods. The Koretz thing was enabled in a Jew neighborhood because you're the next ones. They're going to take you and kill you and get rid of you.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh, thank you. So if I could have Mr. Dog, Mr. Zuma Dog, please come forward. And you get your 3 minutes on the various items on the agenda and your 1 minute for general public comment. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Welcome back from winter break. So, first of all, my name's Zuma Dog, and I'm on the ballot for mayor of Los Angeles, of this great city, and I hope to be working in collusion and racketeering with all of you. Now, let's start with 36 uncollected payments for affordable housing. And it's going to break my heart to tell you, here's $969,000, another $400,000, another $200,000, another $300,000. Oh my gosh, that's millions of dollars of uncollected money that the city is now writing off for affordable housing. Okay, now we have Homeless Count Week coming up. And I want to say we're going to need a lot of people for Homeless Count Week, and here's why. We have a proliferation of homelessness on the streets in areas we've never seen before all over the place, and it's becoming nationwide discussion. And, it's interesting. I want the people at home to know that while I'm discussing the homeless crisis that the city doesn't know what they're going to do about, they're chit-chatting and smiling and talking and laughing. So you know what? I think it's time that we vote yes on Measure S, because this city council is reckless and negligent in their overdevelopment of the city that has resulted in the homeless crisis that's all over the streets. And I'm going to sue the city because you know what? I can't walk down the sidewalks anymore, and I have to walk into the street where we got Maseratis flying by because you didn't do anything but build skyscrapers, luxury condos, and nobody can afford it, and you drove out business, and now we got people living on the streets in tents and places we've never seen, and I can't walk down the sidewalk. And you know what you're doing? You're moving out. You know what you're doing? You're moving out the homeless so you could build another Playa Vista by the airport. More luxury skyscrapers.
Get on the item, Mr. Dog.
Okay, the item is Homeless Count Week. We need a lot of people for Homeless Count Week because the homelessness in L.A. is through the roof. And I was here 10 years ago warning you, and you did nothing but approve things that made homeless proliferate. And now what? Do you see the tent encampments on the street? I don't think we have enough people to count on.
Remember,
the people.
1 minute per item, Mr. Dog.
What?
So you're going to go to one of your other items.
Okay, let me go to the next item. We need money for services in CD7. I want all that money to go for home. I want all that money for the services to be for homeless services because due to what the city has done over the last 10 years under my purview, you've done nothing but create poverty and homelessness in a way that you are now no longer able to deal with. And I want Donald Trump to get the federal people involved to put the kibosh on you people that destroyed everything in this city. My name's Zuma Dog, and I'm running for mayor of Los Angeles, and you better fucking hope I don't win.
Okay, Mr. Dog, your 1 minute. You get your 1 minute for general public comment.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, sir.
Hi, my name's Zuma Dog, and I'm running for mayor of Los Angeles. Go to zumadog.com, ZUMADOGG. I wrote an article in City Watch LA, legitimizing my candidacy for the first time in 10 years, even mentioning that I exist. Check out the yard sign. Hey, this is about Stop the Caruso Skyscraper Project. Sorry, Paul, nothing personal. LA Times picked up on it, and it became a big hoopla. Now, Paul says he's going to vote no on it for now, but of course the vote will be after he's reelected when he'll reduce it by 10 feet and say, well, now it's okay. Anyway, everybody needs to tell everybody, vote yes on S. Yes on S will stop the skyscraper madness. Yes on S to stop the skyscraper madness. Zuma Dog for mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. Our next speaker will be Mr. Gus. Mr. Gus, you have items 9, 36, 39, and 44, plus your 1 minute of general public comment.
Council members, Daniel Gus. I have the #1 most read article on City Watch this morning. I'll get to that in general comment. Item 9, council members, start off the new year with a statistic for the public. I'm going to be writing about this. I'm going to find out how many liquor licenses you have within 500 feet of every new liquor license that you approve. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to write in City Watch, especially as each of you run for re-election, I'm going to tell the public how many liquor licenses are within 500 feet so we can determine whether or not this is a matter of convenience. Regarding uncollectible loans, you are borrowing money for wrongful death suits you can't even afford. What do you mean you can't collect these loans? There's 1,000 bill collection agencies out there. Why are you not getting this money when you're trying to draw the Olympics, when you're borrowing money by paying high interest rates to pay off wrongful death suits? What do you mean uncollectible loan? How about uncollectible loan for all the parking and traffic tickets out there? So just remember, you're each up for election eventually. Regarding homeless count week, how do you define homelessness, council members? Because you redefine the meaning of euthanasia, you redefine the meaning of a pet adoption. Are you going to be honest with the public when you tell us what is homeless? Is homeless living in a car? Is homeless living in a sidewalk? Is homeless living in Section 8 housing? It's a new year, but it's the same old corruption on your part. And as the #1 writer this morning on City Watch, I am going to tell the public all about it this year. Item number 44. Why don't you tell the public why this extension is going on? Did somebody mess up? Did somebody not pay attention to the agreement that you had in place? Why doesn't the council member, Mr. Krikorian, or Mr. Buscaino, who seconded it, why don't you tell the public why you're changing this? Why are you giving an extension? It is the same old crap in a brand new year. On to my 1 minute of general public comment.
Hold on 1 second. Give him his 1 minute, please, Madam Clerk.
Council members, I have the #1 article on City Watch LA this morning. Tomorrow, you're going to reapprove, unanimously, I'm sure, the agreement with Best Friends Animal Society. My article shows how the city is subsidizing Best Friends. But Best Friends, in the past 5 years, raked in $313 million. $313,676,006. And they don't pay for rent, they don't pay for animals, they don't pay for maintenance, security. They don't pay for anything. You guys are borrowing money, and Best Friends, which, by the way, uses our taxpayer-funded shelter to do intake, which is strictly prohibited. But Mr. Koretz has known about this corruption, and this is the #1 article on City Watch. I'm going to be on Mark Thompson's podcast. I will talk about this on KFI. If you approve this, I will hold Mr. Koretz and each of you accountable on City Watch.
Thank you. Okay, now let's vote for, Madam Clerk, reconsideration on items 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So on those items, if you'd please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Now let's actually vote on the items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go back. Now we're in general public comment. Mr. Barajas. Brian? In fact, I believe you have one card on an item as well. Number 39.
Yes.
So you get a minute on that.
Yeah. In regards to the week of homeless counts, let me just say the following. You have to eradicate poverty, that's true. But in order to do that, you're going to have to get a sense of how to specifically do that, not just emphasize that you have it. That's the end of my comment for this item. I would like 1 minute.
Okay, let's give him his minute. Hold on, Mr. Barajas. Go right ahead, sir.
I turned in 2 leaflets. One, for the sake of peace, Obama must surrender his Nobel Peace Prize. And the other item, we are urging Donald Trump, as he promised, and other individuals, and you can find this petition on our website, larouchepac.com, but essentially what it calls for is the restoration of the Glass-Steagall law. If we are to eradicate diseases and homelessness and everything and bring in and usher in a fusion economy, we have to guarantee to the American people and the world that we do not kill people. Under this administration, Obama and Bush, we have lost essentially our souls, essentially. And what I ask that all government bodies, whether it be local, state, federal, and the American people, we have to restore Glass-Steagall.
Thank you, Mr. Barajas. So if I could have Leah come forward and Ms. Richardson come forward, please. You both signed up for general public comment, so you have a minute each.
Hi, Happy New Year.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Happy New Year to all of you. I'm very disappointed that Councilmember Bonin decided to leave the room once again. I want you to know I've been coming here for 4 years, and Councilman Bonin has never asked to hear me. He's never sat with me once, ever. And you're creating the destruction of the California coastal bluffs and Pacific Palisades. Today on the cover of the Los Angeles Times, it says, "Rising legal settlements sting LA." So I want to know how come I have a plethora of illegal development records, one after another, of clearance sheets that you don't have access to. Councilman Bonin, I'd like for you to sit down with me and go through with these one at a time. You're approving documents in a landslide, in a recorded landslide. So it looks like you're trying to use the government immunity clause of the California government code to attempt to circumvent this. But because you know it, you don't have immunity. And it's cruel.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Richardson, please come forward. Yes, ma'am.
Some white people come down here and they desperately want money for the homeless. However, it's noticeable that the hard money goes that way and the tents go that way. The people that live in the tents have a hard time. It's hard to get up and find a job. If you're cold and hungry, you get a teaspoonful of food, your clothes are dirty, your hair is not cut, and you need new shoes. It appears that in this area, this is a homeless industry where people make their money, educate their children, and fund themselves with the homeless industry money. It would be real great if the people that are termed homeless have the opportunity to get more food so they can get jobs, get clean clothes, and start working. The biggest problem with that is their girlfriends get their money. They get their hair done and their nails done, and they might get tired because their girlfriends are getting all their money.
Thank you. Okay, that closes general public comment. At this time, again, I want to wish everybody who came down a Happy New Year, and thank you for participating. Okay, we have some items we can vote on now. Madam Clerk, let's start off with item 1.
And Mr. President, on item 1, there has been a request to continue 1B for 2 weeks to January 24th.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order. Now let's vote on the item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Now, we're going to vote on items 9, 35, 36, 39, 40, and 42. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Let's move on to item 44.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Did we just vote on item 42?
Yes, we did.
Can we send that forthwith, please?
Item 42, forthwith.
Thank you.
So on item 44, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. I didn't hear you.
12 ayes.
Okay, now let's vote on item 45.
And one moment, Mr. President. On
Yes.
item 44, there was a request for that item to be noted and filed.
Oh, okay, then that'll be the order. So on 45, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Is there not a special?
A special one has been posted and distributed.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Rue. Where's Mr. Rue? This is on your special one.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
This is the findings, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So these Norton Avenue properties epitomizes the garden courtyard style bungalow apartment complexes with the distinguished architectural characteristics of the Spanish colonial revival style. And the application for these bungalow court apartments has been submitted to the Cultural Heritage Commission on August of 2016. But due to the Commission's workload and individual Commission's absences, this application was not heard and is scheduled for February 2nd, 2016 at the Cultural Heritage Commission hearing. The last tenant for these apartments were Ellis acted out of their apartments on January 6th. This property faces imminent demolition between now and the hearing that's scheduled on February 2nd before the Cultural Heritage Commission. The city is at risk of losing yet another apartment complex that is noted in Survey LA, with the current application scheduled to be heard before the Cultural Heritage Commission. This imminent action and the recent date of the Ellis tenants makes it that much more crucial today. Both the bungalow apartments have been noted for their architecture in Survey LA and has been described as an excellent example of an intact 1920s bungalow court in the Wilshire CPA. This was once a common residential property type in Los Angeles, and the bungalow courts that remain intact are increasingly rare. Both apartments, as noted as few of the both of these apartments are noted as few of the remaining examples in the area that retain original site plans, landscape, and hardscape elements, as well as the architectural features. I also want to note that these bungalow courts are also representative of the melting pot of the ethnic enclaves that Los Angeles has become in the mid-20th century and as a refugee of the growing Eastern European immigrant population following both world wars. It is also important as the home of and the longtime ownership from 1964 to 2015 by Polish Jews who have survived the Holocaust and came to the United States as refugees and made their lives as the United States citizens.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's, at this point, members, let's vote on the findings. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 1 no.
So now that is before us. Mr. Walsh, it's my understanding you were trying to get in on this. So why don't you come up? We'll give you your minute on this item.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or Jay Walsh, confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This special was not on the computer over here. I had to talk to the LAPD, and they were very obliging. I think this is an excellent issue, and whenever you do something right, I am extravagant in my praise. Rue is saving a home, saving this home, and we won't talk about anything else that Rue has done. We want to say that you've done an excellent job, and we want to save many more bungalows. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Rue. We're going to now vote on the item itself. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. If we could make this forthwith.
Yes, forthwith. Okay, Madam Clerk, we come back to you.
And council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, they are posted and they are referred. Is there any additional business before this body?
The desk is clear.
Okay, members' specials. Announcements, not specials. Announcements, members. Any announcements? Then now I want to ask that everyone please rise. Please rise for adjourning motions. Okay, before we do that, Mr. Rue has an announcement.
Well, I just wanted to alert the council. Well, first off, Happy New Year, council members. It's our first meeting, and we're back at work. And I wanted to alert everyone and invite everyone next week, January 13th. Actually, January 13th, later this week, we are going to be doing a presentation, myself and the council president, on Korean American Day. So we will be having some presentations here at council, and we want to invite every council office because we will be having a luncheon right afterwards at the Rotunda. So we want to invite all council members, their staff, and the city family to celebrate yet again Korean American Day, which memorializes the immigration of Korean Americans since 1903. So we want to invite everybody, and it will be a festive event. And thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Further announcements, Mr. Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had one announcement. I actually wanted to give a shout out to two Channel 35 viewers. I was walking through Mar Vista the other day, and I met Joseph and Yonina Cohen, who live in Mar Vista. And they were very excited, Mr. President, that we were coming back into session today because they watch Channel 35 every day. When they're not going to be home, they tape it and they watch it later. And it's one of their favorite things to do. And they say you do a very good job running the meetings, and they wanted me to pass that on. So I just want to give a shout out there to Mr. and Mrs. Cohen. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Buscaino, an announcement?
Yes, sir, an announcement, if I may. Whoa, hot mic. Is that an HD mic too, or I don't know, possibly. I do want to
special mic for you.
I do want to recognize the Los Angeles Kings in partnership with my office and the Battleship Iowa for an amazing ice skating opportunity for the Harbor Area South Bay residents on board the Battleship Iowa. 3 weeks. We hope to have them come back to the LA waterfront. So thanks again to Luke Robitaille, the entire LA Kings organization, and the Battleship Iowa. Is a perfect marriage. It's an amazing opportunity and experience, an epic experience to ice skate on board the Battleship Iowa. It just ended, but it was the last 3 weeks has been phenomenal for that program and also the entire LA waterfront movement. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome back, everybody, and Happy New Year to everyone. I just want to remind everyone that we're having on January 28th of this year our Night on Broadway. This is the third annual Night on Broadway that we have. It is a celebration of our Bringing Back Broadway initiative. We are in the 9th year. We have done a lot to support and improve this historic corridor. Not only a new streetscape plan, but also we've opened up many more of the historic theaters. You know, we have 11 historic theaters on that corridor, more so than any other place in the country. And we've opened up a number of them and provided some legislative incentives for property owners to reinvest in their buildings. Night on Broadway started 3 years ago with 5,000 people. Last year we expected 30,000 people, and we received 60,000 people. It was great to celebrate there with Councilmember Harris-Dawson, and I think Rue and Price also showed up. I hope many of you can go out, and it's really a love letter to the city of Los Angeles as we see it now. People come out from all over the city to celebrate the historic core, and I hope you can make it out January 28th, and I hope that was enough time for members to get some of their motions in. Thank you.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Happy New Year, Mr. President, colleagues. And Mr. President, my compliments on the efficiency that we're starting the new year with and getting the first meeting done in 45 minutes. That's very impressive. I did want to just announce to the public who may be interested in attending that on Sunday, January 15th, upcoming, the Campo de Cahuenga Historical Society will be recognizing the anniversary of the Articles of Capitulation by which the process for California becoming an American state began. Perhaps the most historic spot in all of Southern California is at the Campo de Cahuenga, which is right across the street from NBC Universal Studios. And people drive past this every day, have no idea what the building is. This is the building where California was born as an American state. And so this Sunday, from 12 o'clock to beginning at 12 o'clock, will be a reenactment of the signing of the Articles of Capitulation by Andres Pico and by Commodore Sloat and others who participated that day, John Fremont. And Mr. Rue and myself will be there because the boundary between our district goes right through the Campo de Cahuenga, so we'll both be there to celebrate. And I'd like to invite all members and members of the public to join us for this very historic moment as well.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Mr. Koretz.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I want to announce that the Century Plaza, which was once slated for demolition but has been saved from that and is actually now undergoing full remodeling to restore it to its historic finishes from when it was originally built in the 1960s, that a groundbreaking and unveiling is going to take place on Thursday, January 19th at 6 o'clock. And anyone that would like to attend that historic event is welcome. So that'll be in Century City at 2025 Avenue of the Stars, Century Plaza Hotel.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Are there any more announcements, members? Additional announcements? Mr. Buscaino, are you going to do Supervisor Benoit, Senator? Yeah, because so many of us served with him. Yeah. So I'm going to start off with Mr. Buscaino then.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, ask that we adjourn in memory of a dear friend of our public service, our colleague who passed away this holiday season, Riverside County Supervisor John Benoit, and fellow board member of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. Just one of many positions that he served in his lifetime of public service. He most recently represented the Riverside County Board of Supervisors of its largest district, spent 45 years serving as a member of the California Highway Patrol, school board member, state lawmaker, which I know many of you served alongside, and a county supervisor. Before entering the world of politics, Supervisor Benoit spent 31 years in law enforcement, including 29 years with the CHP. He made his way through the ranks and was promoted to commander of the Highway Patrol Indio Station in the Coachella Valley. He also attended the FBI National Academy. After retiring from the CHP, Supervisor Benoit served as a board member of the Desert Sands Unified School Board. He was then elected to 3 terms in the California State Assembly from 2002 to 2008 and the California State Senate 2008 to 2009. And as a state lawmaker, he had 40 pieces of legislation signed into law, including Ariana's Law, which helps to ensure the safety of children in daycare centers. Supervisor Benoit was appointed to the Board of Supervisors in 2009, re-elected to a 4-year term in 2014. In his position as supervisor, he helped strengthen the local economy, protect neighborhoods, improve transportation and the environment, expand access to health care, and much more. Notably, in his term as supervisor, he's responsible for relocating families to better living conditions who are residing at the Duraville Mobile Home Park. He also helped to develop the UC Riverside School of Medicine, and he helped craft a county solar policy. Supervisor Benoit was also instrumental in redirecting plans for a county jail expansion, which will drive nearly $500 million in public safety and infrastructure investments to improve community safety, create hundreds of jobs, and spur the local economy. Supervisor Benoit was also United Way of the Desert board member since 1989 and a member of the past president of the Indio Rotary. These are just a few highlights of his career and his achievements over the course of decades of public service. His dedication to his community will have a lasting impact for generations to come. Supervisor Benoit is survived by his wife, a daughter, son Ben, another colleague of mine on the AQMD board, 2 brothers and grandchildren. In his honor, the Benoit family is requesting that donations be made to the United Way of the Desert, based out of Palm Desert. Our hearts go out to his family, his colleagues and friends, Supervisor John Benoit. We will truly miss him, and we thank him for his years of public service. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Buscaino. I just want to tag on that when Mr. Benoit was first elected Assembly Member Benoit, I was the Speaker at that time. And so I had an opportunity to serve with him for 2 years. He was a class act. He was a quiet member, but when he spoke, individuals did in fact listen to him. He was a member of the other side of the aisle, but he worked well with my party, the Democratic Party. He will be missed. Many of us did not know that he was ill, and were a tad shocked. I know I was when I first got the word. But if I remember correctly, Mr. Koretz had an opportunity to serve with him. I'm going to call on Mr. Krikorian in a second, who had an opportunity to serve with him. Mr. Price had an opportunity to serve with him. I don't know, were you there, Mr. Blumenfield spent some time with him. And again, he was just a good person and a good human being and a great public servant, and he will be missed. So I want to recognize Mr. Krikorian for a minute.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for those comments about John Benoit, and Mr. Buscaino, thank you for bringing this motion. John was, as you say, Mr. President, a quiet but very respected member. And one of the reasons, Joe, that I think he was able to have such success in enacting legislation in the legislature as a member of the minority party was precisely because people respected him, people believed him when he spoke. He wasn't a highly charged partisan guy like so many are in Sacramento. He was a guy who worked for the best interests of the people. He had a different view of things than I did on a lot of issues, but we always were able to sit down and talk and discuss a solution that would work. And he had a special passion for public safety, of course, but in time and time again, he was one of those few Republicans in the legislature who really worked towards bipartisan solution, and I had tremendous respect for him, and I'm very, as you say, Mr. President, he'll be missed not only because he was a gentleman, not only because of his own personality, but because he was kind of a standard bearer of what's becoming a bygone era, a time when people who are elected to office actually talk to each other and pay attention to each other and work in a bipartisan way for solutions. And so I'm very, very sorry to lose John, and I'm glad we're adjourning in his memory. Thank you, Joe.
And that was well said, Mr. Krikorian, especially the part about the bygone era. He wanted to get things done and accomplish things. And just let me say this, I'm going to call on Mr. Koretz. For a member of the minority party to have over 40 pieces of legislation that was signed, that is significant. Mr. Koretz?
Yeah, I think Mr. Krikorian said it so well that I won't add much. I'll just say that when I served in the legislature, it was a partisan enough environment that there were members that would literally vote against every bill I authored no matter how much they agreed with it, just because I was a liberal Democrat and they didn't like that. John was very different than that. He would look at every issue on its merits. He was respectful, he was friendly, he was a hell of a nice guy, and he was just there to try to solve problems. And I probably was closer to him on the issues on public safety, because Democratic leadership threw me off the Public Safety Committee a couple times because I was too pro-public safety. On other things, we disagreed almost all the time. But he was just a great guy and the type of person that we could use many more of in the state legislature and in the Congress right now.
Well, let's just make it clear, Mr. Koretz, as Speaker, I never threw you off of any committee. May have thought about it, but didn't. Does anybody else want to say anything about this good man, Mr. Okay, then I think Mr. Englander for another adjourning motion.
Thank you. Colleagues, I'm sure you're all well aware and saw the shocking news on television. Now, today we're adjourning in the memory of LAPD officer Heather Monroe, serial number 40296. January 1st, this year, the Los Angeles Police Department and our community suffered a monumental loss. 30 years young. Heather served already at that age with the Los Angeles Police Department Jail Division, Mission, and Devonshire and Patrol. She passed away after an off-duty traffic collision near early on in New Year's Day in Simi Valley. Heather Monroe represented the best amongst us. She was a legendary law enforcement already at such a young career. She was appointed to the department on August 17, 2009, promoted to the rank of Field Training Officer, an FTO P3 on March 20, 2016, at Devonshire Patrol. She was such a positive, inspirational kind of worker, and she was truly the whatever you need kind of attitude with everyone all the time. I'll get it done, that type of officer, and she did. She's survived by her wife, Ileana, her mother, Leanne, father, Greg, her sisters, Amber and Jacqueline, and her brother, Michael. She served with distinction at the highest traditions of the Los Angeles Police Department. She will certainly be missed by all of us. Colleagues, a memorial service for LAPD officer Heather Monroe will be held this Thursday at Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills Hall of Liberty, 6300 Forest Lawn Drive, with an interment immediately following the service. Thank her for her dedication to the city of Los Angeles, her tireless commitment, and for her service. May she rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Englander. Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you. I'd like to adjourn today in memory of George Ruminis, who passed away on December 9th, 2016 at the age of 91. George Nicholas Ruminis was born on March 31st, 1925 in a Spartan village of Kathartha, which is now called Metamorphos in Greece. He was the eldest son of Nicholas and Fotine Ruminis. He led an adventurous life as a youth in Greece. When Greece was overrun in World War II, he joined the resistance fighters and campaigned alongside the British Special Operation, Executive SOE, and the U.S. Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, against the Axis powers and against the Greek communists. His love of Greece and his experience fighting and protecting his family and village became events that he would later write about in what ultimately became his New York Times best-selling novel, The Man with the Black Worry Beads. In 1946, George and his family came to America on a Liberty ship, and after living in Traverse City, Michigan, Atlanta, Georgia, and serving the U.S. Army during the Korean War, George made his way to Hollywood in the 1950s. When George moved to Los Angeles, he became very involved with the Greek Orthodox Church. He used his cinematography skills to make documentaries and advertisements for Los Angeles St. Sophia Cathedral. And in 1967, he He went back to his homeland to meet with the Greek government for a documentary on the Greek military. On this visit to his homeland, he met and fell in love with his wife, who he married, Maria. They moved back to LA, where he became an accomplished writer and lighting director in the motion picture and television industry, working on popular films and popular TV shows such as Johnny Got His Gun, Bonanza, Gunsmoke, Heart to Heart, Taxi, Cheers, Hard to Copy, just to name a few. IATSE Local 728, the Studio Electrical Lighting Technicians Union, gave him its 50-year union membership award. He was also active in the Writers Guild member. He was an active member of the entertainment community. He and his wife raised two wonderful children, Nicholas and Sophia, in Beverly Hills, California. He enjoyed volunteering at their schools and coaching at their AYSO soccer teams. He also adored his four grandchildren. His wit, sense of humor, Red Sox, complete devotion to his family and friends will be missed by all who knew him. George was survived by his wife, Maria, son, Nicholas, and his wife, Michelle, daughter, Sophia, and her husband, Gordon, and his four grandchildren. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfield. Are there any other adjourning motions? Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I rise to honor an extraordinary human being and a friend, a person who strived for excellence in everything that she did. Pat Means has been the Director of Communications and Community at Alta Sea at the Port of Los Angeles. There she was responsible for developing and driving outreach, strategic partnerships, and other initiatives with internal and external stakeholders. And she has done a very fine job in that capacity for the past several years. But many of us know her as the president and publisher of Turning Point magazine. She was an entrepreneur and a small business innovator. Pat founded Turning Point magazine in 1992 when she realized that the overall portrayal of African Americans in the media was negative, and she sought to change that, and she did. In addition to Turning Point, she used it as a vehicle to assist entrepreneurs to give them timely information to adjust to the market before it had a detrimental effect on their small business. She championed the annual African American Business Summit and the Access to Success Business Tour. She was widely recognized for her accomplishments, including by the National Association of Women Business Owners, the Los Angeles Commission on Women, and the California Black Chamber of Commerce. She will be greatly missed by a host of family, friends, and colleagues. Information on her services are pending.
This was another shock, Mr. Price. Many of us who knew Pat were just caught off guard and devastated. She was a class act, and I really got to know her well over the years, but what I remember most is the work that she did with the former Assembly member Merv Dimely. She worked very closely with him. She definitely will be missed. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to be added to that.
In fact, me too as well. I'd like to sign on that one.
Yeah.
Four of us.
For Ms. Pat Means, thank you, Mr. Chair and colleagues. I'd ask that we adjourn today in the memory of Mr. Ralph A. Lamont, Jr., born in Louisiana, attended high school there, where he was a football star, went on to Texas Southern University, where he starred as a halfback on that school's football team. Subsequently, he moved here to Los Angeles, where he started a career at the Department of Veterans Administrations at the VA hospital out in Westwood, California. He started as an orderly, became a nurse, then became an electrician, and got into the leadership of the electricians there. He married here in California his sweetheart from Louisiana, Carol Spencer Lamont. They had two children, Tammy and Anita Lamont. He had other children from subsequent marriages, including Christopher Lamont, as late as 1986. Ralph Lamont was my uncle, my mother's eldest brother. He was the first person on my mother's side to travel from the South to Los Angeles. and settled on 52nd Street, and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles and my mother followed him here, and we all set down roots here in Southern California. He was the sort of man's man in my family. My father's much more of an intellectual, so it was from Uncle Ralph that I learned to fish and go hunting and camp and go skiing and build a house. We built an addition to his house. We used to have to show up every Sunday and lay bricks and lay pipes with him. Learned how to talk about sports. He taught me to read the sports page. He said, you cannot talk about sports if you haven't read the sports page. And so I was very, very appreciative of him. And just last year, about this time, when he retired, he moved back to Louisiana and got a house on the lake and all that good stuff. My aunts and my mother and a lot of people in my family, mainly women, said, you have to go to City Hall. You have to be there. You have to see Marquise. He's on the council, and he sits up there in the horseshoe, and you got to go check it out. And so he comes in, and he's just so very grumpy. He looks at me, and he says, I lived in this city for 40 years, and I never had to come to City Hall. And now you're here, and I have to show up and listen to this stuff. And it was that day, and I wanted to really thank Senator Cedillo for this. It was that day that all the Dodgers showed up.
Oh,
and
nice.
he lit up, and we took him in the back, and he got to shake hands with the veteran Dodgers and the current Dodgers. And so he was very happy that he showed up to City Hall, and he went back to Louisiana. And that was actually the last day that I saw him. So I'm very grateful to the council for hosting him that day. It was a little thing that has turned out to be a big thing for me and my family. And so Ralph leaves a host of nieces and nephews, 3 brothers and sisters, as well as his 3 children and family back in Louisiana as well. So I thank you for adjourning in his memory.
Mr. Harris Dawson, we're so sorry for your loss. Are there any other? Mr. Koretz?
Thank you, Mr. President. It is with great sadness I adjourn in the memory of Dennis Luna, who passed away after a brave battle with lung cancer on December 28th at the young age of 69. Dennis grew up in Downey, where he attended local schools. And at Warren High School, he ran cross country and held one of the top times in Southern California during his senior season. He attended the University of Southern California and majored in petroleum engineering, and liked it so much that he earned his Master's of Science and an MBA. After some time as a petroleum engineer, he decided to take the LSAT, scoring a 98. He applied to one school, Harvard Law, and was accepted. He moved to Boston, where he met his wife, Barbara. After 3 years, he graduated with honors and came back to Los Angeles. As a young attorney at McCutcheon, Black, Verlager, and Shea, he was involved in some of the biggest energy transactions of his time. In 1988, Dennis joined the firm of Richmond, Luna, Kitchevan, and Glushon as a partner. And in 2004, the firm changed its legal name to Luna and Glushon, resulting in a partnership with his close friend, Rob Glushon. Dennis was very proud that he was one of the very few Latino attorneys in the energy industry, and he had a very strong desire to be of service and to give back. He held many prestigious volunteer posts in the city of LA during the Tom Bradley and Dick Reardon administrations, including serving as commissioner and treasurer for both the Los Angeles Community Redevelopment and the Redevelopment Financing Authority of the city of Los Angeles. He also served as a commissioner of the LA Park and Recs Department as an alternate commissioner on the LA Memorial Coliseum Commission. He was active in nonprofit organizations, serving as the chairman of the board of Angels Flight Railway Foundation, former director of the Economic Development Corporation of LA County, and in 1999 he received recognition for his service as the Board Volunteer of the Year by the LA Area Boys and Girls Club of America. In late 2015, Dennis was diagnosed with lung cancer. Although despite his disease, he carried on as an invaluable colleague and friend and provided leadership, advice, and mentoring to many. His great and generous spirit and his example of service and giving to those less fortunate will be greatly missed. He is survived by his wife of 42 years, Barbara, and their children, John and Catherine, his father, Henry, and sister, Valerie Lee, and granddaughter Sophia.
Thank you, Mr. Kretsch. Are there any other adjourning motions? I don't see any, but I do want to give a direction to the clerk's office. I want you to creatively, on the Supervisor Benoit adjourning motion, come up with a way to have signatures by Mr. Buscaino, Cedillo, Bloomingfield, Koretz, Krikorian, Price, and myself on the Pat Means adjourning motions. That should be signed by Mr. Price, Mr. Harris Dawson, Mr. Buscaino, and myself. And we've done that before, so I just need some creativity on that. So with that said, there's no further business before this body. We'll see you tomorrow. We're adjourned.